coming right there.
Oh, hey guys, this week we are going to talk about the Vulcan pistol optic, but before we do, I got to give a big shout out to our sponsors that allows you guys to get these videos for free. All right, so this Vulcan optic is awesome, but before we get to that, you know who else is awesome? EuroOptic.com is awesome. Guys, you go to EuroOptic, all their inventory is real time. So in other words, if it lists it as being in stock, it's actually in stock. They don't play any of those drop shipping games. They try to ship everything the same day. They have the stuff, they ship it fast, it gets there fast. You know what else is cool to me? Veteran owned and operated, located in the heart of whitetail country in Pennsylvania. And when you call the sales staff, they're all locals, they're all Americans, they're all outdoor enthusiasts, they're hunters, and they're gonna get you your products on time. When you call, you actually get somebody that cares. They're gonna steer you in the right direction. So be sure to check them out, EuroOptic.com, and I appreciate them supporting and sponsoring this video. Hey guys, this week I want to talk about the Vulcan Reticle. You guys know I've been beating the hell out of this thing for pretty well a year now. All my classes, everything. Why is this thing so important? All right, you've heard me say it before that within the next 5 years, all combat pistols will have red dot optics on it. It's not because the cool factor, it's because legitimately they bring advantages on the modern battlefield. What I mean by that is historically, all right, pistols clear. Guys running just iron sights. Guys get really good pressing out and using pistols with iron sights on them. All right, but then there'll come the moment of truth when they get into that real gunfight. You hear people say, well, you're not going to use your sights in a real gunfight. You're not going to use your sights in a real gunfight. The reason for that is because they've always trained to present on the target and then move that focal plane back to the sights. Make sure that the sights are perfectly aligned, pull the trigger. And that's what they've been doing on paper, on steel targets and everything. The hard part though is in a real combat situation, you're in fight or flight, you're scared to death. And it is very, very hard for you to move that focal plane where your eyes are focused from the bad guy to back to that sight picture. It's very, very hard to do. It takes extensive training to do that. And the reality is a lot of people just don't train for combat shooting enough. All right, so fast forward to red dot pistols. What a red dot pistol allows you to do is I have that focal plane, my eyes are focused on that bad guy, that perpetrator. Is it a threat? Is it not a threat? But is it a threat that warrants deadly force? If it is, as I press that firearm out, once that red dot comes into my field of view, wherever that dot is, that's where that bullet's gonna go. I don't have to move my focal plane then back and line up my iron sights. It allows me to keep my focal plane on the bad guys, all right? Literally, you understand the advantages here, and a lot of people get that. A lot of people get that. Now, there's the disadvantage that red dots have, and that is that guys will present that firearm and you hear them say, I can't find the dot, I can't find the dot, can't find the dot. Okay. Now the pros will tell you, your competitive shooters and everybody, they'll tell you, well, you've just got to modify your presentation of the gun. Instead of presenting with that front sight elevated and then lining it up like that, you've got to basically keep the gun level and press it out. As soon as it presses out, that dot comes in your field of view, you're clear, ready to fire. Muscle memory, you need to modify it a little bit, and that works to an extent. People on the flat range are shooting your regular RMRs and everything that just has that red dot, and they press it out and they get perfect. They get perfect. They're fine. My red dot's awesome. Okay, now, the problem though is when you start shooting odd shooting positions, when you start shooting around barricades, underneath vehicles, over walls, under barricades, those are not positions that you practice all the time. And what you end up doing is now you're back to, I can't find my dot, I can't find my dot, especially when you're doing like force on force in the shoot houses, things like that. Guys will present from odd positions, prying through doorways or whatever, and they can't find their dot, can't find their dot. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? All right, enter the Vulcan, right? Dimitri is the guy that developed the whole ACSS, Advanced Combat Sighting System. He's big on his reticles. They've got range estimation markers in them. They've got BDCs for different calibers. The guy is a total genius and personal friend of mine. Love it. Well, when he came to me with the idea of the Vulcan, on paper, he's like, hey, Carl, I've got this great idea. And just like everybody else, I went, meh, meh. Okay, no big deal. But the reality, what it has is, you all have heard of the donut of death, right? The EOTech donut of death. When he was telling me about it, it's a chevron with this outer circle. I'm like, okay, it's like the EOTech. And he's like, no. So he explained it to me. And basically what you get is when you put that dot, or in this case, a chevron, on center mass of the target, you're good, you're ready to shoot. But let's say you present that odd angle and you can't find that chevron, you can't find that dot. It has a circle in the reticle that is just outside your field of view. You don't see the circle if you're presenting perfect. You don't see the circle at all. However, when you present that odd shooting position, whatever it is, when you go to present that firearm, if the pistol is not lined up correctly, you won't see your dot, but what you will see is you'll see the edge of that circle. Whichever way that circle is canted, that's the direction you move the front of the gun. So if I'm presenting and it's like this, I have to raise the front of my gun. If I'm presenting and it's down low, I have to lower the front of my gun. If it's like this, move it to the left. If it's the other way, I move it to the right. And as soon as the circle starts to leave your field of view, that center aiming point enters your field of view. It helps you, no matter what position you're in. You can be shooting upside down, you can be shooting on your side, under vehicles, whatever, one-handed, carrying a litter, doesn't matter. Move the front of the gun a direction the circle goes, and voila, your center aiming point comes right in the center field of view. So he went to a couple different optic companies with him. I won't bust them out for making the biggest mistake of their life. But he went to Holosun with it. Primary Arms does a lot of work with Holosun. Holosun jumped at it. They're always looking for something new. So it's in basically the Holosun 507, which is a great optic. But the cool part about the 507 is it has the same footprint as the Trijicon RMR. What that allows you to do is now you don't have to get a different slide cut differently, right? Any slide, any aftermarket slide, whatever, you can literally get a slide that's cut for Trijicon RMR, and this Vulcan will drop right into it, lock perfectly into place. If you're running, the guy's running SIGs, or if you're running the Glock Gen 5 MOSs, the different plates, use the plate for the RMR, locks right into place, guys. You can't beat it from mounting this thing. Now, I mentioned it's not the donut of death. Everybody's familiar with the EOTech circle with the small dot in the middle. And it's in a lot of pistol optics. For example, the 509 by Holosun has the donut of death in it, the outer circle with the small dot in the middle. That is not what this is. This is not a big circle. This circle is massive, and it stays outside your field of view, right? Now, what the donut of death have, though, is they've got that small dot in the middle to give you that very definitive aiming point for long distance targets. And the cool part about the donut of death, the EOTech, was instead of having to have a big dot to find it quickly, that big dot then completely covered your target when you're shooting at 100 meters, 50 meters, whatever. So everybody want to go with a little dot so you've got a definitive aiming point, but then they have a hard time finding it. Enter the donut of death, and everybody's running them on their rifles. What it does is it allows you to find it quickly. All right, now, what Dimitri put in this thing, instead of a big dot in the center, instead of having a little aiming dot, he went with a chevron. Now, a lot of people, I don't like the chevron, I don't like the chevron. Here's why I like the chevron in the center of the Vulcan, is if I need a big aiming point to quickly acquire the center of it and put it on the center of the guy's chest, I'm just aiming the whole chevron right there, center mass, high A zone. But when I'm taking those long distance precise shots, I use the very tip of that chevron, and it allows me to get a very, very fine point of aim. Literally, guys, you've seen me in some of my other videos. I can easily hit a 10-inch head size plate at 100 meters with this pistol. All right, and that's the optic I'm running on them. All right, Vulcan, this is my EDC pistol, Vulcan on my work pistol. Literally, I can shoot 100 meters, 120, 130 with this optic, no problem. All right, I want to get into some of the other options, but before I do, you guys know the deal. I got to let YouTube slap you right in the face with a commercial. I'll see you back in a minute. Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial as much as I did. One of the cool things that Primary Arms and Holosun does is they offer the Vulcan in both red and also in green. Now, a lot of people say, well, the human eye picks up green faster. Other people say, well, green, when you're out in the woods, it's harder for you to acquire your aiming point. Some people will say it takes more electricity to generate a green laser as opposed to a red laser, so your batteries are not going to last as long. And I've heard all this. I was like, okay, let me actually try this out. One thing I will tell you is it doesn't make a difference to me. It really doesn't. I have had red EOTechs, green EOTechs. I've had red Vulcans and green Vulcans. One thing I will tell you is I am told that the batteries actually last a little longer in the green version. My personal experience is I can't tell the difference between the two. So personal preference, whichever one, it's up to you. Now, I mentioned battery life. Now, they have shake awake, okay? One of the features that these optics have is it has auto brightness adjustment, which you can also turn off and do it manual. Now, on auto brightness, if you're outside, it's really bright, it's gonna brighten that reticle. So then you can see it during the day. And then if you go into a dark room, it will automatically dim. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. You're not wasting battery life. That's got a lot of pros to it, but especially if you're using a weapon light, right? Understand that that is also a disadvantage for you because it's still dark back here where you're presenting that firearm, so it's keeping the reticle very dim, but as soon as you turn on that light, now all of a sudden, the reticle is still staying dim, but your target is over illuminated and you're gonna have a hard time finding your reticle. No big deal, don't freak out about it. If you're doing a lot of work in dark situations, you do a lot of night shooting, just put it on manual. Most of the time my work gun, I leave it on manual. Now that brings us to the weak point. Right now, the weak point on this thing is battery life. It's got shake awake and everything. They tell you if you're running the circle with the chevron, you should be getting 17,000 hours. How do they do that, right? Because that's just a little watch battery. One, that's marketing. That's if you're only putting it on a medium setting, and I like running my stuff bright for outdoors, but it's also because it's got this little solar panel up top. Plus, I mentioned it has the shake awake, right? So if you're not moving it after 10 minutes, this gun, this optic turns off. You don't have to worry about turning it back on. As soon as you move it at all, as soon as you present it, it immediately back on to the latest, the last brightness setting that you had it set for. So in other words, you don't have to worry about touching the buttons at all to get it there. It will be back to that setting before you even bring it up to you. The downside of shake awake, especially on my EDC pistol, is that pistol is on me moving all day long. It's in my vehicle moving all day long. So shake awake's not really helping me at all. Plus, because I keep it so bright and I run the circle, I gotta be honest, I'm getting nowhere near 17,000 hours with this thing. Now, I don't care because the reticle is it literally is that awesome. Now, the reason why though the Vulcan gets much less battery life than a lot of the other ones is because even if you're running the donut to death, right, with your little dot in it, if you were to open up that amount of light, it's basically that much light, right? Now, my little chevron but I've got that huge donut of light on the outside that then when I open up, you understand the electricity, the amount of light that's being illuminated in this massive circle with the chevron, it's like 10 times what it is on that little donut of death. So it drinks batteries, it does. But other than that, now it's the cool part that it does have is when you get low battery, it gives you a slow blink. So I'll be in the middle of a class, I'll present my gun, and I'll get that slow blink. It's letting me know, hey, Carl, it's time to swap batteries. I can still easily work all the way to lunch, or I'll work all the way to our next break. Go back to the trunk of the Suburban, quickly swap batteries. It's very, very easy to do, right? Again, but everything that's got good points has got to have bad points. The only weak point of this thing is that it's got that low battery life. Except it also has one other weak point, and that is the 507 has an exposed emitter. Now, you'll hear people saying for combat guns, you've got to have an enclosed emitter. The EOTech, for example, a red dot aim point, for example, those are all enclosed. What I mean by that is this exposed emitter right here, if you're presenting and you get one raindrop comes down on that exposed emitter, it completely washes out your dot. You get one snowflake come down, right? Chunks of mud landing, whatever. Now, if you get a lot of water on it, rain coming down, literally just break it back in your workspace, blow as hard as you can, and your breath will go right around the back of it. Gets a lot of the water out, but it's still not perfect. Better would be to have an enclosed emitter, kind of like the Aimpoint ACRO or the Holosun 509. Now, I mentioned this is a weak point, right? The Vulcan is in a exposed emitter in the 507. Well, guess what, guys? Just came out. The Vulcan Reticle is now available in the 509C. The other cool part is they're also going to be offering it very soon in a kilo model, which will fit your subcompact, your 365 SIG or my G43X. You guys know my church pistol that I carry, right? Wouldn't it be nice to have a really small one that still had that Vulcan reticle in it? So anyways, guys, that's about it. I beat the hell out of this thing, and I was like, it's too good to be true. It really is too good to be true. This thing's gonna die, it's gonna be crap. I have got, I don't know how many tens of thousands of rounds through it. Ask my guys that come to classes. I throw my pistol on the ground on the Optic. I'm not joking, guys. This solar panel is broken. All right, it is smashed up. It's still getting enough power. It works. I beat on this thing hard, and this thing, if you think about it, you know, there's a reason why the military is pushing that all combat pistols will have dots on them. And that's because the advantages just far outweigh any possible disadvantage. Real combat, you're doing force and force, stuff like that. Guys want to go back to their iron sights because I can't find the dot, can't find the dot, can't find the dot. I'm here to tell you the Vulcan changes that. I don't say it about anything else, but the Vulcan is legitimately, it's a game changer, guys. It really is. And that's why I've been excited about this thing for the last year. Again, it's available exclusively from Primary Arms. You know the deal. I want you to find the right one. So you go to tacticalrifleman.com. I've got a link for you there so you can get it. You guys know the deal. I read all your comments. If you have not tried one of these yet, go try it out. I'm here to tell you, it'll change the way you look at dots. It'll change the way you look at combat shooting of pistols. Y'all take care and shoot straight. All right, guys, flash update. I actually got some of the 509Ts that have got the Vulcan reticle in them. I got a couple of them in. I'm putting them on my work guns right now. All right, so is it awesome? Oh, we'll see. We shall see. But I got to run it through the ringer first. I got to see how well these things, got to see how well they hold up. So I think we got an idea for another video down the road. But for right now, I'm here to tell you, I'm still running the Vulcan on my EDC pistol. And that's the 507. It's badass. We'll see how this 509 holds up. Y'all take care. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything.